Hi, I'm Megan Norman. I'm a Minneapolis newborn and family photographer, a mom of three, and I know firsthand how overwhelming the internet gets at 2 a.m. when you're a mom and you just need a straight answer. That's why I created Made for Minnesota Moms, real conversations with Minnesota women who support pregnancy, birth, and motherhood with resources you can actually use. Okay, so today's episode is a little different. I'm the one being interviewed, and I'm sitting down with my business coach, Colie James, who helps photographers and creative business owners build systems that actually make their lives easier. And I can say from experience, she's made my life a lot easier. She's going to be asking me about my photography services and how I support moms through this season, but honestly, I have no idea where this conversation is going to go. So this should be very interesting. Colie, thank you for being here. Ready, set, here we go.
I promise to go easy on you. I mean, this is not your first time being interviewed from me. You were on my podcast, so you kind of know what to expect.
It's true. I just don't know what kind of curveballs you're going to give me because you really do know my business inside and out at this point.
Well, and I like this idea. It's why I keep pitching it, to go on other people's podcasts and interview them, because there's a way that you talk about yourself, your origin story, and your offers when someone is interviewing you that is very different than when you try to talk about it just on your own spontaneously or in like a solo episode, because that was what you originally wanted to do. You were like, oh, I'll just have a solo episode. And I was like, no, ma'am, let me come interview you. It'll be fun.
Well, I appreciate you doing it. And I'm excited. I'm excited because I've had a lot of my guests ask me about my services and tell me that I should do this, but it makes it a lot easier because you are here doing it.
Absolutely. Well, let's dive in. Okay. So first, I want to talk about why you created Made for Minnesota Moms, because you kind of give it in your intro, but I don't think that you're really talking about the connection in the same way that you presented it to me when we planned this out in one of our coaching calls. So Megan, what compelled you to create Made for Minnesota Moms?
All right. So connection is huge for me. And I have been feeling like Instagram, social media in general, it just felt very performative and I wasn't quite reaching or connecting with everyone that I wanted to in this authentic way. And so that is where it came from. It came from genuinely loving to learn about what other people do, knowing that there's this huge community of women that are supporting other women doing really awesome things that we didn't even know. Like, I didn't know what a postpartum doula was. I didn't know that you could, potentially speed up your labor and delivery time with chiropractic. I didn't know that there was these concierge doctors that can come to your house and help you. People can come to your home. I had no idea. And so this has been beyond exciting and very interesting for me. And I love connecting with all these women. And I cannot believe how many women have said yes and want to be on the show and want to share their passion with other people.
I mean, it's so interesting that you called it a show, because when we first ideated this, it was not going to be a podcast.
No.
It was, hey, Colie, I'm going to identify the specific list of women that I'm going to have these conversations with, and let's just see where it goes. And I think you sent me the very first episode that you recorded, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be a podcast. And you were like, no, I don't want to. And then, I don't know, was it like 3 weeks later, you were like, okay, let's make it a podcast.
I don't even think it was 3 weeks because I couldn't believe how much great information there was, how much fun we were having, just the general conversation back and forth. It just felt natural and comfortable. And then I thought about, okay, I probably am not going to sit down and watch a YouTube video. So how hard is it to just put it on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify? And there it goes.
Here we are. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's this thing that I do where there are the occasional podcast episodes on my own podcast where I'm like, hey, I just really wanted to chat with this person about their service. And so I'm posting it on my podcast for you to hear. You're welcome. Like, that's basically what I do. And when you first pitched this idea, I mean, each of the women that you initially interviewed, I can't say that you're going to know future, people that you're interviewing as well as you knew those, but you had a personal connection to all of them. And so you really did have like this conversation that felt very personalized. And so you knew what you wanted them to kind of communicate to the wider community and how it could influence other mothers in, the care that they're seeking out and all of these things. So I want to bring it around to you. You are a photographer, but you weren't always a photographer. And a lot of us have this origin story that's like, well, I had my kid and then I discovered my love for photography and then I opened a business. And that is your story, but it's not quite as simple as that. So Megan, tell me about your, when you had Olive and then how you ended up opening your photography business.
So to start, I never thought that I would be a family newborn photographer. I always thought I went to art school. I went to the University of Minnesota. I got my fine arts photography degree, and I thought I would be in advertising. That I did tons of internships. I did them with photographers, but I also did them with agencies, and I was set on being an art buyer. And then I realized that there's a very niche market, and it just wasn't happening. And I started doing photography for friends because I had done it in high school. And then it just kind of snowballed. And I lost my job right when Olive was born. And it just kind of was like, there's no turning back. I really enjoyed doing it. Again, we come back to connection. I love meeting these families, connecting with them, telling their stories. And it just was a natural, and I started with everything under the sun: weddings, newborns, families, seniors, everything. And then it just kind of has niched down. But I mean, I still do some seniors, especially with the families that I've been with for a while, or people that we know, or if it just feels like the right fit. But I think it was 2022 is when I stopped doing weddings and really focused on families and newborns. And then this year I added Fresh 48s.
I mean, we're going to get to the Fresh 48s, don't you worry, because that's my favorite thing to photograph. It's my favorite thing to talk about. And I love all photographers creating like a good baby plan. But let's take a step back, because there is a natural progression that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to people who are opening photography businesses. A lot of them start out in weddings because weddings pay really well. And,
Yes.
there are no shortage of people getting married. And then people
Yes.
naturally get tired of giving up every single one of their weekends in order to have like a 12-hour shoot day. And so a lot of people start to progress from weddings into families because they see that as like a lighter lift, if you will. It's a shorter session, not as much of a commitment, not as much stress when it comes to
Yeah.
making sure that you've nailed the day, that you've gotten everything that you need. Because for family photographers, I mean, we don't like to do do-overs, but it is possible. This is not a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Right.
Until we get to Fresh 48s. We'll talk about that. But then there is also this progression of then people start to realize, oh, but as a family photographer, I'm doing all of these sessions at night and I am doing them on the weekends. And so then they start to look for alternatives. And a lot of people turn to branding. But you are infusing Fresh 48s into your business.
Yes.
And, Fresh 48s are not just scheduled on the weekend, because Fresh 48s happen whenever the baby comes.
Yes. Yes. Got to be flexible.
Got to be flexible. I mean, that's the one thing that I would say. But let's talk about Fresh 48s, because there's a couple of reasons that you are kind of doubling down on getting more newborns into your business. But what first attracted you to Fresh 48s?
So Fresh 48s weren't necessarily on my radar until my friend photographed when my third was born, and she came into the hospital. I didn't really think too much about it. And then we got some of my most favorite images when my oldest came into the room to meet her younger brother, because my kids are split weird. My first two are 2 years apart, and then the older two were 6 and 8 when my youngest was born. So it was a different experience. So when she came in and met him, she burst into tears of happiness. And it was seriously I feel so lucky that it's captured. You can also see it in the way that she looks at him when my middle one was holding him. There's just a realness to it that you cannot fake. You're not putting, certain outfits on. You can't really be performative. It's very raw, it's very real, but they tell such a special chapter. And so after I got those, I was sold and I started doing them for my friends. And then here we are. I was like, but people don't know what Fresh 48s are. And Colie's like, they do. They do know what they are.
Well,
So
I'm going to admit, my oldest is 15 going on 16. So her and Oliver are about the same age. And Fresh 48s were definitely not a thing when we gave birth to our first children.
Right.
I mean, Chloe's my only child.
They're just a special thing because I think you can't overthink them. You can't really do much except for enjoy that moment. And it will never get old when you walk into their room and you see them holding their baby and it's like, you created this person. You did this. This is from you. It's crazy. Like, it's this crazy feeling. And it just makes me light up and get so excited. So even though, yes, there is more flexibility in them, they fill my cup. And they're so much fun because they're different from family sessions. Family sessions, I'm like running all over the place. I'm usually sweaty by the end of it. Like, that's just how it goes. It's just different. It's a calmer, slower pace, but it's very real and raw.
So how are you introducing Fresh 48s to your inquiries, your leads, people who are interested in hiring you as a photographer? Are you finding that people are actually filling out an inquiry form and saying, I want a Fresh 48?
No.
Or do you find that they're asking you for newborn photography and you are introducing them to the Fresh 48s during that process?
It's actually neither. It's them listening to me talk about why it fills me up and why I'm so passionate about it. And then that has been how I've booked the majority of them because I just happen to get into a conversation with them about it. And then they want the link and then we're off to the races. And yeah. And that's why I think I also really love doing this interview series, podcast, whatever we want to call it, because you can hear it in people's voices. You can hear their passion and why they do what they do. And it's just amazing.
I mean, so Fresh 48s are in the hospital, and sometimes there are people that are concerned about the way that they look, how their children will interact with the new babies. What are some of the common objections that you are hearing when you are talking about Fresh 48s and your love for them? Like, what are the kinds of questions that people are asking you before they book a Fresh 48?
I think the biggest thing that people are worried about is what they look like because you've just had a baby and you're in the thick of it. But I will say that it's more about your interactions with your baby and this new family that you created. It's less about what you look like. And I look back at Ford's Fresh 48 session, and honestly, I don't love what I look like, but I love the feeling that I get when I look at those images. They bring me right back. They give me all the feels, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. I'm so glad I have them. And, it's not just of mom and dad or siblings and baby. It's a good mix of everything. We're getting those details of, their little hand holding your finger. It's all, how you're holding them, the way you look at them. It's all of those things.
I mean, I totally understand the feeling of, oh, but I'm not going to be camera ready. I mean, I explain different things to different people. Like, for example, if you've had a C-section, I always recommend that we delay your Fresh 48 a few days so that the water retention that you're having has a chance to dissipate. I also always want everybody to have an opportunity to shower. I mean, it makes you feel like a magical person, that first shower after you've given birth. And in the cases of C-sections or even some births, you have to delay the opportunity to hop in the shower. And so that's just part of my prep, making sure that they understand, hey, doesn't have to be immediate. Like, I don't have to show up at the hospital 3 hours after you gave birth and do this. We have time. Most hospitals aren't discharging you for the first 48 hours at least. And so, I mean, we have an opportunity to kind of make that happen. Megan, have you had any Fresh 48s that included grandparents yet?
I would say half of them have,
Nice.
because when they're bringing the siblings with, which I actually really love. A lot of times they are off in the background for a little bit, but then it's so wonderful to then also see grandparents interacting with
Mhm.
the new baby, whether it's their first, whether it's their third. It doesn't matter. They still look at them with shock and awe, and they feel 10 times what I'm feeling when I walk in there and like, you made this, because it's their person who made this new person. And so I don't know. If you can't tell, I'm extremely sentimental, and it's so cool to watch and document for people.
Speaking of siblings meeting, I feel like you were kind of lucky that Olive reacted in the way that she did, because not
Yes.
all siblings do this.
No,
There's
they
one
don't.
Fresh 48 in particular. I was there for almost 2 hours, and I was waiting for Big Sister to have any interest in her new baby sister. And it took 2 hours. And then she finally gave me 15 minutes of poking the baby's head and kissing her cheek and holding her hand. And so I shot almost that entire gallery with the sibling in it in like 15 minutes, because that was all she gave me. But what do you tell parents if they're concerned about the older sibling coming in? Because, I mean, sometimes they haven't seen their mom in a couple days. They're just very clingy. Have you had any of those? And if you haven't, how would you talk about the possibility of that happening with one of your future clients?
It has 100% happened. It happened before. Now I've offered them. I have one friend, her son came in to meet his sister. He could have cared less. He brought a balloon and he was all about that balloon. We did get like maybe 30 seconds of their interaction. Otherwise, it was him dancing with the balloon. He was just having a really great time, and it did not matter. I've had ones where they don't want mom to hold baby, that they're going to sit with mom, and that baby isn't going to be anywhere near them. I mean, honestly, I have seen them all, but that's what makes them special. Like, honestly, that was their reaction, and there's nothing wrong with that being their reaction. So to me, you're just capturing this chapter, this moment, and it's funny. Like, all of, looking back, it's so sweet and enduring. Ted did not really want to hold Ford. Like, I think we got one picture, and it was kind of like, I don't know about you, and that's okay. That's okay. That's their feelings. Those are, they're real.
I feel like to a certain degree, I mean, birth photography is definitely a once in a lifetime moment. If you miss the baby, you miss the baby.
I did that one time. Done that one time. Check that box. We're good. I did it for a friend, and I realized quickly that was not my thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I always felt the pressure of making sure that I was available. And I did actually miss my last birth. I mean, I was in the parking lot and I missed the last birth.
Oh, no.
That's a story for another day, Megan.
Baby came too fast.
Oh, no, but mom told me 6 minutes before that she was fine. And then she had the baby in 6 minutes. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But I feel like Fresh 48s are a little bit more lenient. But the one thing that I tell my clients, if they're unsure, is just book one. Because even if you are feeling a little uncomfortable about how you look and how you feel in your own skin, we could totally focus on the baby in most of the session, so that we make sure that you get it documented, their time in the hospital, their tiny little fingers, all of those things. But you can't go backwards and book a Fresh 48 once you've left the hospital. Like, they're not going to let you check back in.
It is true. And here's the thing. They're for you and your family, and that's it. So that's the way I look at it too, is you don't have to share these with anyone. They are for you. So it's just, again, to capture this moment. And even if I have someone, like, I've had a fair number of sessions that are not Fresh 48s where families show up and they're like, we're just going to do the kids. And usually at the end, I'm like, let's just try. You don't have to do anything with these, but let's just try. And usually they're wonderful. And then, so it's, yes, just do them, because you really don't get that time back. And it is crazy how fast they grow and change. It is insane. I look back at all three of my as newborns. I'm like, you don't look anything like that. And you change so fast.
Speaking of how much you change, I'm going to bring this conversation back around to baby plans, because this is something that you offer. You offered it before, and then all of a sudden you just took it off of the proposal. And now we're offering them again. So
Yeah.
why should someone consider hiring you for a baby plan? Like, what does a baby plan give them that a single newborn, whether it's in home or in the hospital for a fresh 48, what do you get from a baby plan that you don't get from newborn photos?
Well, I think first and foremost, you're just prioritizing that first year. There's so much that happens in that amount of time that you probably have photos on your list, but it's an easy thing to push like down the list, and then all of a sudden that time is gone. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm committing to up to 3 sessions in the first 18 months. It can look like anything that you want it to. It can look like a maternity, a newborn, and a year. It can be anything. And then you can add on at a discount for the fresh 48s. I've done quite a few where it's fresh 48 and newborn. I mean, there's no right or wrong. It's kind of like choose your own adventure when it comes to baby plans, but you're prioritizing that first 18 months because it goes by so insanely quick. And we want everyone in the photos. We want mom in photos with your kids. We want dad in photos. And it's just a different experience. And yeah. And you get a discount when you are doing a baby plan on the session fee as well as the collections. So
Yeah.
it makes it, yeah.
Makes it well worth it. I mean, when I used to present my prices, I would do the baby plan at the top and I literally had at the bottom, I don't know why you would want a single session, but if you do, here's how to book it. And I mean, when you compared the prices, it's like, why wouldn't I just want a baby plan? Because then I have, multiple opportunities to get my family photographed in that first year, make sure that we document all of the different stages. I mean, all of that is great. Do you have people that are trying to choose between a fresh 48 or an in-home newborn? And how do you help your clients choose the one that's best for them?
So to be honest, like a lot of times I think they want newborn. And then if I just talk about fresh 48s again, the most recent families that I've had have picked both because it's totally different experience. So fresh 48 is, coming in 30 minutes. You really don't have more than 30 minutes because someone is coming in your room and needing to do something. So you really only have 30 minutes and you can capture a lot in that 30 minutes. And then a newborn session is different. I come to your home. We have like an hour and a half. You have a little more control over it. And honestly, those two together are a wonderful experience because you're getting the real raw from the fresh 48 and then you're getting a little more like in your home, showing your nursery. Your kids can run around and be themselves, not as much as when they're in the hospitals. It's a nice thing for you to do in tandem.
In case you didn't see me laughing on the video, guys, I'm laughing because that birth that I missed, my last birth, she actually had 4 kids and I was there for all 4 kids. Not a birth, but hospital fresh 48, except for the pandemic years. But what made me really giggle, and I tried not to be loud when I did it, was when you said the kids can be themselves. No, her kids were always themselves. I'm remembering the last one that I did for them in the hospital. Their daughter was running circles in the hallway. And I was like, eventually she's going to tire out and we're going to get these photos. And no, she just kept running in circles and circles. But I think it's a little bit more appropriate for your kids to be kids at home versus in the hospital where everyone's, watching them. And I think that it's really interesting what you say about people constantly coming in. I have found, at least here in Colorado, where I am based, the nurses and the staff at the hospital have always been the most gracious. Like if the baby needs something and they come in and they see that I'm there, they're like, oh, no, don't worry. We can come back. Just let me know when you're done with the photos. And they leave. And so I feel like a lot of people are worried about how chaotic it'll be. But really, I think fresh 48s are so normalized for hospital staff that they really do give you the space and opportunity that you need to capture those amazing pictures before you leave.
Yes. Because especially recently, most of them have told the nurses, this is when I'm coming. And so they either put a sign on the door or they just make sure people they know not to come in during that time. And sometimes I get a little bit longer, which is fun too.
It's nice. I'm going to ask you a question. It's going to seem a little weird that I'm asking you about your competitors, but I don't know what your situation is like in Minnesota. But here in Colorado, we actually have a couple of those national companies that are associated with the hospitals that will come in and do. Yeah. So I want you to say your piece right now as to why hiring you for a Fresh 48 is different than hiring one of those national companies.
Okay, so I will say I am all about capturing that time. So if that is what you want, please just capture it. I think it's wonderful. But in my experience with all three of mine, you really do not know what the caliber of the photographer is that's coming in there. They could be amazing. They could be like you could get some of the best images, or they don't know how to deal with the light because the light is crappy in hospitals. So you have to know what you're doing to be able to really get the best light that makes it a little more flattering, things like that. So I think it's more that you know what you're getting from me as a Fresh 48 photographer. You know who I am. Most of the time, we're having a conversation before you even hire me because to me, that connection, that being authentic and genuine, I want people to feel comfortable when I come in and photograph you. So to me, that's great communication that Colie has helped me set up so that I have clear emails and processes and things so that you feel good when I arrive. You know what to expect. You know what's going to happen so that you can really be in the moment and get photos that you're really excited about.
No, I think you hit it on the head. Like, you don't know who's going to appear. You don't know the caliber, their skill set. And I think that we already talked about the most important part. And maybe this doesn't apply if you're a first-time mom. But if you are having your second, your third, your fourth kid, you typically cannot time those photo sessions around siblings visiting. And if I had to pick like the number one reason that you hire a photographer like Megan for a Fresh 48, it's so that you can document the time when the siblings meet for the first time, because that will never happen again.
It is crazy. It is something that it's magical. I mean, I've had two sisters. They just ran in the room. They could not be more excited to meet their baby brother, the way that they're talking to their mom and the excitement level and just all of that. I've had toddlers who could have cared less about their sibling and is giving them stink eye, which make for some amazing photos. Yes, amazing. She knew how to do that stink eye better than anyone I've ever met. She could turn it on and off. And then I've had, I've really seen it all. I've had one where he was very concerned about what I was doing, but then something totally switched and Buzz Lightyear was in the photos, and that's okay because that is again adding another layer to these images. And yeah, you can't fake them.
Yeah, it's like freezing a moment in time so that you have a perfectly documented memory of what it's like. Because for a lot of us, after we give birth, I feel like the first week is just a whirlwind. I personally didn't even remember when our parents came to visit because we live in Colorado. Everybody else lives in Texas. I remember them visiting. But if you asked me how many weeks it took for each parent to visit, what it was like when they were I don't remember anything. But if I had photos from that time, I could remember perfectly. You want to bring this conversation back around to this podcast and this series because, the connection is great, but making sure that moms have a place where they can learn more about services that are relevant to them, like your Fresh 48, like your family photography, is so important. Where do you see this podcast going? Like, what is your goal going forward for inviting new guests, promoting the podcast, like whatever it is? I just want to hear it.
This is a great question because I was on a walk with my friend this morning and we were talking through things with the podcast. And one of the things that she brought up that I thought was such an amazing idea is I was telling her how I really wanted to bring a first-time mom on the podcast and really talk to her about her experience. And you made like what was great that she planned for, what didn't go, like all of the things. And then she was like, well, why don't you start bringing people on to talk about their birth stories? And I was like, that is such a good idea because everyone is different. Some go the way that you want them to, some don't. And I think it's also empowering to hear other people's stories. I think it's empowering for them to tell them. So I really liked that a lot. I just want to bring more awareness to all of these amazing women. And also other moms doing cool things. So I have one coming up with one of my clients who also is a business owner. She's a mom of two. She's amazing. And she travels worldwide with her kids and has since they were babies because that's important to them. So I can't wait to talk to her about her experience, why it's important to her, and how she does it. And that to me, it gives people more insight like, oh, I could do this, or I don't have any interest in doing it. But at least you're hearing, like, I don't know. I just want to tell people stories and their passions. And this has become way more fun than I ever thought it would be.
It's quite ironic. I mean, unrelated to this conversation with you, Megan, I was interviewing someone else for my podcast earlier today, and her podcast is also her passion project. It is what she considers to be her creative outlet. It has nothing to do with her business. It is simply she wanted a podcast, and I can't help but think about the similarities that I wouldn't have put together if I hadn't talked to Julie earlier today, and now I'm talking to you. And I really do want it to come across to everyone that, like, this is your passion project. You wanted to find a way to connect with local business owners, other moms, and you have certainly found an amazing way to do it. And so, Megan, kudos for actually doing it, because a lot of people, it's what I admire most about you, Megan. When you put your mind to something, you ask for help, but then you actually do it. Whereas a lot of people get stuck in like this indecision, and the thing that they want to do never actually happens. And so I am so proud of you that Made for Minnesota Moms is published. It is live. You are connecting with everyone, and you have plans to make it even bigger and better as we go forward.
I would say you deserve some of the credit for this, because I did have indecision on this. I was nervous. Like, will anyone listen to this? Will I even have people that want to talk to me? And you said you won't know unless you do it. And here we are. I have recorded 15 episodes so that I can slow drip them every 2 weeks. I wish I could tell people about them now, because they're all amazing women. I edit one probably every day right now because I'm trying to make sure I have them all before busy season starts, because I just feel passionate that there's so many amazing women out there doing amazing things that they can help you, or you know someone that would benefit from their services, and they're just interesting. And no one has said no, which is crazy to me. It is. There obviously was a need for this. I mean, I don't know who's listening to it, but there's a need for it, or people want to come talk about it. So it's been fun.
No, I mean, and it's funny. You've already learned the hardest lesson of podcasting, Megan. Well, first of all, the edit. The edit is a little different.
Yes.
It's a little difficult. But the other part that you've already learned is that it is really hard to keep people's episodes secret, in quotes, until it goes live. I mean, I have just decided I don't do that. Sometimes when I'm on Threads, I will start talking about the person that I interviewed that day and just say, hey, this episode is coming live to you later. Subscribe to the podcast now so that you get it immediately when it becomes available. I mean, I will do that because I keep a lot of secrets. But when it comes to like a really good interview, no, I have to tell someone how great it was and share it, even if you're not going to get to hear it for a few months.
And honestly, I feel like I do spill the beans on Instagram. I started like every 2 weeks when the podcast comes out, I'm just going to have a quick newsletter. So if people are interested in hearing once they drop and a little bit about that person, so they know if they're interested in hearing about them. So I did add that. I feel like, honestly, everyone I've talked to be on the podcast, I'm like, this is a fly by the seat of my pants kind of thing. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm enjoying it.
All right, Megan, I feel like we have discussed everything that I wanted to cover, because I know that you interview each and every person on this podcast and really highlight their offers and how they help people in motherhood. And I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to do the same. But
thank you.
I am going to do your real life rescue kit now. So question number 1. What is your go-to takeout place? Like, if you have had a long day and you just don't have the energy to cook, where do you order food from?
So recently, our go-to has been Nico's Tacos because they have a family meal for tacos and they also have family meal for fajitas. And it is a crowd pleaser for everyone at our house. In fact, my girlfriend turned them on to me during COVID and I didn't realize there was one close to our house. So that's kind of been our go-to lately. It's very easy and nice.
Megan, I'm so jealous. Do you know that the people in my house don't eat Mexican? Are you aware of that?
They
I mean, I
don't?
eat Mexican, but my husband and Chloe, neither one of them like Mexican. So I'm always on my own.
What?
Every time somebody wants to go to lunch, I'm like, no, can we go have Mexican, please? Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm a little jealous. Okay, question number 2. What is your worthwhile outing locally for you and the family?
Okay, so I feel like a lot of people have covered the ones, but the one that we really like is Westwood Hills Nature Center, which I know that another guest had said that, but it really is our go-to. They have a fabulous nature center that you can go into. They have all this great interactive things. They have birds there that you can go see, fabulous paths, and they have a Halloween party that they do every year,
Nice.
and it's like what we remember as kids, where it's homemade and there's great prizes. And all 3 of my kids have loved going and doing it. So Westwood Hills is probably my favorite, and it's in St. Louis Park.
I mean, here in Denver, the Children's Museum always had really fantastic Halloween events. And so I took Chloe every single year until she outgrew it. Okay, last and final question. What is your local mom resource that you recommend to each and every one of your clients?
So can I say the podcast? Because I've learned so much and I've interviewed so many people at this point, this has become my local mom resource. I mean, I see Dr. Jessie, I see Dr. Britt, I see Hannah. I know Dr. Jess, and she's seen my kids. Like, I just feel like this has become my go-to local mom resource. And if it wasn't that, I would probably say my local Facebook mom group, because that is where I go if I need to find someone for something.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to have all of those linked in the show notes. And I just want to close, Megan, with saying it makes complete sense that this podcast is now your local mom resource because it was a labor of love for you. You wanted to show how each and every one of these amazing people could help your audience in motherhood, services that they may not have known about. And so I do think that you are building the podcast as a resource. And eventually, when we get its own website page, perhaps its own website, that is going to be where you point people to. Goals,
Yeah.
girl, goals. That's it for this episode. Megan, we'll see you soon. Bye.
Oh, thanks, Colie. Bye.